It is extremely important, I feel, that we are talking openly about how toxic low effort family systems are. And if you're from one, then you know. Just think of a report card and someone getting graded on their willingness, their respect, their accountability. It's F's all the way across. That's what low effort is. Low effort you can think of as lack, full delusion. And people that live in a low effort family system have to cling to delusion to keep the story going, the narratives that are able to protect the abusers. And so if you have a friend that's from a low effort family system or you're from one, Dr. Sherry, I would highly suggest checking out her page. She has a really great understanding of low effort family systems, and it's so validating. If you're from a low effort family system, you know that invalidation was the number one thing going on. Because of everyone's discomfort, they had to dismiss every word coming out of your mouth. So you felt completely alone, depressed. Of course, listening to people talk about how toxic low effort family systems are, it's so validating, and it's the truth. It is toxic. The message is you're not worth it, and that's what people experience. But we need to make it clear that's just a delusion. It's not real. It's just a coward, and that's all right. We can accept them where they are without judgment and shaming them, but we can also direct ourselves to what's healthy and what aligns with us. It's really that simple. So something that I will never do that is really disrespectful to children is to tell them, say they have a relative or someone, a family friend that lives in deep lack, victim mentality, illusion. They don't show up with accountability, willingness to be vulnerable, to own their mistakes, to apologize if they've been rude. If someone like that, which if you know me, I'm not going to have someone like that around a kid anyways, but say you have, a grandparent like that, or an aunt or an uncle or a cousin like that, I will never disrespect a child by saying they're doing their best, because I don't lie to children's faces. I'll talk about what's there right in front of us and we can use it as a teaching moment. But I want to make it very clear to kids, just because of the fact that if we tell them, oh, Uncle so-and-so that's just their best, then that child will one day possibly be in a romantic relationship with someone that shows up with half-ass energy, and they've been able to convince themselves, hey, I'm empathizing with the fact this is the most they can do. That's not real. We can tell the child that people in victim mentality convince themselves, of these illusions to be true, that's just how they were raised, that all these excuses are just bullshit lies. And we can talk about how when there's shame, guilt, or fear, or a mixture of all three, then we convince ourselves to not flow our waterfall, which is showing up with effort, intention, love, compassion, integrity, respect. So I really want to be clear when teaching children that when we feed our own selves, our waterfalls pour abundantly, and we want to be on the lookout, seeking people who also their waterfalls are flowing. And it's beautiful to come into acceptance for those, like this relative, say, and accept them exactly where they are. The worst thing we could do is stop tending to our own waterfall because we are going to try to get theirs to start flowing. That's us sending a message to ourselves that we cannot feel whole unless this person changes. And there's no freedom in that. We can find so much peace in accepting exactly where people are and either moving further or closer to them, and really teaching our children and our youth, our friends' children, our nieces and nephews, grandkids, that alignment is what we are really looking for. When we're out in the world looking for friends, romantic relationships, we want to find someone who's also tending to their waterfall. So the two waterfalls, they're both flowing into each other to create this massive waterfall. And if we have an abundantly flowing waterfall, we're in willingness to show up, to feel discomfort and have hard conversations, to feel all the emotions. When we show up that way and we connect with others who are doing that as well, then we won't feel alone, resentful that we're the only ones showing up. So I know that there's an urge. We can say to them, I understand the desire to convince your grandparent to come out of illusion and into willingness so we can be in alignment and have both waterfalls flowing into each other. But we can lose so much of our very precious time and energy when we are trying to force others to meet us in accountability, in truth. So I just would make it so clear to a child that's not their best, but they don't know that. Because of fear, because of shame, because of guilt, insecurities, they're telling themselves this is the most they can do. It's not true, but we can accept that and love them where they are, and then bring more of our focus and energy to people who are in alignment with where we are at. And that will bring us no resentment, just abundance, fulfillment. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. But yeah, I just will, I came from low effort family systems on my mom's side and my dad's side. For example, I was thinking of this the other day, that on my dad's side, his father, I brought my little goddaughter when she was like 4 to his nursing home to visit. And, and he said, why is she here? Like, we have nothing in common. I don't know why you would do this. I was like, oh, I just saw that other people were doing it because the old people love the little kids and they bring so much joy. My grandfather was like, get her out of here, So that's a good way to gauge where my grandfather was at. I never really knew my dad's mother. She'd passed when I was little. And then my mother's side, her father passed before I was born, and her mother, this is a good example to gauge where we were at. She would say, like, oh, who's your boyfriend, Matt, when I was a teenager? Is he a born again Christian? And I was like, well, no, but he's into, she said, oh no, I don't need to know anything further. We're good. He's not a born again Christian. So that's like the most effort that I received. And then as it gets to relatives that are closer to me in age, it gets a lot more toxic and abusive, but we'll keep it at that for now. So just to give you an idea of like the kind of support, it didn't exist. There just was none. And it's very harmful to think, well, this is the best that they can do, because then, children start to think, well, if I were good enough, then they would give more effort. Let me put in effort and time and energy to convince them that I'm worth them giving more. No, we need to tell kids, this person lives in a different reality. Literally. I don't care. Like, I used to be, oh, I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't give a flying fuck anymore. So if you're going to be around me at a table breaking bread, I'm going to talk about what you're doing right in front of us. So if you're being defensive and dismissive of a child, I'm going to bring it up in front of the group. I don't care. And this is also a great way to weed out people that are living in toxicity. If you want to do behaviors right here in the open and you think it's going to be swept under the rug around me, not a chance. And I'm so grateful for kids that get to be around me because they get to see an actual leader. I recently was talking to a friend and was talking about harmful ways in the past of my elders, and you could see her body, and we talked about it. It's so amazing to be able to talk about. I'm like, hey, I can see that you're getting uncomfortable and wanting to protect my abusive elders. And she's like, that's true. She's like, I've felt guilty about certain ways that I showed up for my kids in the past. So I can feel myself wanting to excuse these harmful behaviors instead of saying, hey, that wasn't a healthy thing to do. And when we acknowledge our behaviors that weren't healthy, that's when we can make them different. That's when we get to change. But acknowledgement is the first step. I love, this friend is so funny. It's such a blessing when you see a friend drop into illusion and try to make excuses because they're in discomfort. It's such a blessing to be able to say, hey, I see what's happening. Do you want to come back into reality? And obviously, if it's a person that's never coming back into reality, we won't align. We're probably not going to ever be around each other. But yes, so just to come back to the fact that when people are showing up half-assed in your children's lives, you can talk to them about that. Just the truth. You could say, when their parents were alive, it was during war. No one was feeling their emotions. You can talk about survival mode. Just the truth, not saying, hey, that's their best. This is how much they love you. No, they have they live in deep lack. They have a lot of lack of self-worth. They don't believe themselves to be capable of having deep connections. It has nothing to do with your worth. That is not a reflection of you. That is their lack, not a reflection of your lack. And I just will consistently be talking about this with children. And I encourage you, if you feel moments of discomfort when a child is asking you why someone is showing up harmfully, disrespectfully, you don't ever need to make an excuse for an adult. Just tell the truth. This person lives in scarcity. They live in illusion. They are not healing their wounds. They're not intentional about that. So this is where we'll probably find them in 5 years. It's really simple when we get down to it. When we make excuses for people, things get so complicated. Let's keep it just cut and dry. The truth. And yeah, I think it's so important to respect children and not just brush things under the rug because of a moment of discomfort. Never gonna do it. So yeah, sending you guys love and have a beautiful day.